You want the throne? Fine. Let's talk about what that actually costs. You'll need soldiers, tens of thousands of them, willing to die on your word. You'll need money, because soldiers without pay have a way of finding someone else to follow. You'll need political allies, because the moment you look weak, they'll start looking for your replacement. You'll need the public to believe you deserve this. And somewhere along the way, you'll need to defeat every other person who thinks the throne belongs to them instead. Win all of that. And here's the part nobody tells you. You're still not safe. Some of Rome's most powerful emperors were murdered by the very people standing closest to them. A guardsman, a wife, a son waiting for his turn. So the real question was never just how to become emperor. It was whether you could survive long enough to actually be one. Here's the first thing to understand. There was no application for this. No fixed office, no guaranteed line of succession that held steady for 500 years. Being emperor meant holding enough military power, enough political legitimacy, enough wealth, and enough public support simultaneously that no one else could take it from you. Different men reached that position in completely different ways. Inheritance, civil war, adoption, a coup backed by legions who simply decided they wanted a new boss. There was no single path. There was only the same brutal set of requirements, assembled differently every time. But an army, money, and popularity don't appear out of nowhere. Where you started in Roman society mattered a lot. Rome ran on class. Senatorial families held the deepest advantages, inherited wealth, political networks, name recognition that opened doors before you'd done anything to earn them. Augustus was born into that world, connected by blood to Julius Caesar himself, which handed him legitimacy most men would spend a lifetime trying to manufacture. But birth wasn't destiny. Vespasian came from an unremarkable equestrian family, not the old aristocracy, and he still became emperor through decades of competent military service. Septimius Severus was born in provincial North Africa, far from Rome's traditional power centers, and reached the throne anyway. So privilege bought you a head start. It didn't buy you the finish line, which means if you weren't born with connections, you had to go build them yourself. This is where the real climb began. The cursus honorum, a structured sequence of military and political offices Roman elites moved through, each rung building reputation, connections, and proof you could be trusted with more. Serve competently under a powerful commander, and you inherited something valuable: his attention, his patronage, his willingness to promote you when it mattered. Rome ran on these patron-client relationships. Powerful men needed reliable subordinates. Ambitious subordinates needed powerful men to notice them. The real question wasn't just, are you skilled? It was, have you become important enough that powerful people now need you, specifically, to get what they want? Answer yes to that question, and doors that were sealed shut a decade earlier suddenly swing open. And for the ambitious, one door mattered more than all the others combined. Because in large stretches of Roman history, the man commanding the most loyal legions had a serious claim to the throne, whether the Senate liked it or not. Julius Caesar understood this. Years commanding legions in Gaul didn't just win territory for Rome. It built an army whose loyalty ran to him personally, not to the distant Senate that had never marched beside them. Vespasian built the same kind of loyalty commanding forces in the east. Septimius Severus did it with the Danube legions. Constantine did it with troops who'd fought under him for years before he ever moved against a rival. Here's why this mattered so much. Soldiers who trusted their commander with their lives were soldiers willing to follow him against Rome itself if it came to that. An army wasn't just protection, it was leverage. But leverage this large came with an immediate, unavoidable problem. An army needs to be paid. Consistently. On time. Because an unpaid army is not a loyal army. It's an army one bad month away from listening to whoever offers a better deal. Emperors and aspiring emperors needed reliable revenue, taxes, provincial wealth, control of profitable territory, access to the treasury itself. Donatives, special cash payments to soldiers, often given at moments of political tension, could buy critical loyalty exactly when it was needed most. Control the money, and your soldiers stayed yours. Lose access to it, and your support could evaporate in weeks, which meant an ambitious man needed more than soldiers and coin. He needed people. No one ruled Rome alone. Senators, governors, generals, wealthy families, all of them had to be managed, courted, or bought into your success, because any of them could become a threat if ignored. Marriage alliances tied powerful families together. Patronage networks turned potential rivals into invested allies. Political messaging, coins, public works, carefully staged appearances, shaped how ordinary Romans and elites alike understood who you were and why you deserved support. An emperor without this network wasn't an emperor. He was a target waiting for someone better connected to replace him. But even with soldiers, money, and allies secured, one problem remained unsolved. Winning a civil war put you in the palace. It didn't make people believe you belonged there. That took work. Coins bearing your image and your victories, monuments proclaiming your achievements, religious ceremonies linking you to divine favor, titles earned through military success. Adoption served as a powerful legitimizing tool, too. Augustus positioned himself as Caesar's adopted heir, borrowing legitimacy from a name the Roman public already trusted. Senate recognition mattered enormously as well, at least in earlier periods. A formal acknowledgement that transformed a successful warlord into something closer to a rightful ruler. Power got you the throne. Legitimacy was what let you keep sitting in it, without every disgruntled governor deciding you were illegitimate and worth removing. Because power and legitimacy meant nothing if someone else believed they deserved the throne more than you did. This is where ambition turned lethal. Rome's history is full of moments when multiple men held real claims to power simultaneously, and the only resolution was war. Augustus spent over a decade outmaneuvering and eventually defeating Mark Antony before he stood alone. The year of the four emperors saw 4 different men claim the throne within a single chaotic year, each backed by different legions, each convinced the others had no legitimate claim. Constantine fought Maxentius directly for control of Rome itself. Septimius Severus faced down multiple rival claimants before his position was secure. Hesitation in these moments was often fatal. Waiting too long to strike could mean your rival struck first. Becoming emperor in these periods meant surviving a competition where losing wasn't just a career setback. It was frequently a death sentence. And then, if you won all of it, something strange happened. You command every legion in the empire. Provincial wealth flows toward you. Ceremonies are staged in your honor. Your face appears on coins spent from Britain to Syria. Palaces, titles, and administration answering to you alone. This is the reward everyone was fighting for. Savor it. Briefly. Because now that you have everything, a new and much more personal danger begins. The same tools that got you the throne, military loyalty, political alliance, family connection, could just as easily be turned against you. Caligula was murdered by his own Praetorian Guard, the very unit meant to protect him. Domitian died at the hands of a palace conspiracy involving people close to his own household. Commodus was strangled by a wrestler hired by conspirators inside his inner circle. Caracalla was assassinated by one of his own soldiers. Even Claudius's rise to power followed a bloody palace conspiracy that removed his predecessor. This wasn't random chaos. It was the mechanics of power turning inward, generals wondering if they could do better, family members calculating succession, guard units realizing they controlled physical access to the one person everyone wanted removed. The throne didn't just make you powerful, it made you the single most valuable target in the entire empire. So what did it actually take when you strip away all the individual stories? Military power, money, political alliances, public legitimacy, strategic timing, rivals who failed where you succeeded, and, more often than history likes to admit, luck. The Roman Empire wasn't ruled simply by the strongest man available. It was ruled by whoever managed to convince enough powerful people simultaneously that supporting him was safer than opposing him. That's not a formula for strength alone. It's a formula for persuasion, backed by force, sustained by money, and dressed up in enough legitimacy that people stopped asking whether you deserved it. So go back to the beginning. You wanted the throne. Now you understand what that wish actually demanded. An army loyal enough to kill for you, money reliable enough to keep them loyal, allies patient enough to wait their turn, and a public convinced enough to look away from how you got there. And even after all of that, even after you've outfought, outspent, and outmaneuvered every rival standing between you and the palace, the danger doesn't end. It just changes shape. It moves from the battlefield into your own household, your own guard, your own family's ambitions. The hardest part of becoming a Roman emperor was never reaching the throne. It was convincing everyone standing near you that keeping you alive was still in their best interest.